Hey everyone, it's Trent the Buyer's Agent. Why don't you guys follow me as I break down a one-bedroom apartment in Randwick to run the numbers to see if they stack up, as it may help with some of your property research and getting into the property market. So this is the property here. It's a one bed, one bath apartment. It's 67 square meters and it sold late last year, so October 2022 for $815,000. So many people have these views that like one bedroom apartments are just no good and just like stay away from them. They're really bad investments. But I thought, well, why don't we just kind of break it down on a case by case basis? Because I would agree with some of those people. Some one bedrooms aren't great investments at all, but others are much better. So let's just check this one out. One of the first things that I noticed about this is that it's in a really small block. Like there's only 5, 6, maybe 7 apartments within this block. Now that's a really great thing and something that really kind of appeals to me, because there's not 30 or 50 or 60 or 600 apartments. So that's a scarcity thing. So if I want one of these, there's only 6 of these available, and obviously not everybody is selling all the time. So one of these properties may come available every 2 to 3. Now that's much different to a larger apartment block and it's got 60 or 100 apartments in it where there's always going to be selling, and if I miss out today then I'll get one next month or the month after. So having that scarcity factor is a huge appeal, knowing that it's going to be really hard to get one of these. There's not many available, so when one does become available, I'm going to be jumping on it. But before we get to that point, let's just kind of do a bit of a quick breakdown and I'll show you some of my steps involved. Just head over to Google, add in the address and just check out some of the links. So one thing that I do notice here is that because it's quite a small block, I'm wanting to know how many apartments are actually in this block. But here's one little hack to kind of do that. What you want to be doing is you want to be zooming in and counting how many letterboxes there are within a certain apartment block, and then you can understand how many apartments are in that block. So if you just go to Google Maps, find the property that you're looking at, and obviously this one is 3/70 St. Mark's Road, zoom in on the letterbox, and now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 6 or 7 apartments in here. The letterbox at the end, it may just be for I guess a body corporate letterbox, so it may not be an actual apartment. Now from there, I'm just going to check out the itself, and it looks, nice, neat, small block. There's only like a few levels, but when I spin around, what I do like about this street is that on the other side of the street, there's all these really nice houses and semis. Now these are going to be in the millions of dollar range. So as someone who's looking at property, this is the spot that I want to be in. I don't really want to be in a super high dense, area where there's a lot of other competing supply. I want to be in areas where there are a lot of owner occupiers, some really nice houses, blue chip suburbs, all that kind of stuff. So just with looking at this map over the last 35 seconds, it does look like it's a street that would appeal to me. Now you can just check out some of the internals of the property. So as you can see, that's been really well renovated. They've put some nice fixtures and finishings into something like this. Now, as a buyer coming into this, there's kind of, 2 trains of thought. So some people like these properties where it's like, it's all done, it's finished, I don't have to do anything, I don't want to do a renovation. Awesome, these properties are great for you, and that's kind of your mid to kind of long-term plan or whatever that may be. For other people though, and for some of my other clients, they're like, well, I want a bit of renovation potential. I want to kind of add a little bit more value to it. So this may not be the most suitable property for those types of people, because there's not a lot of value add that I can do on a property like this, because the person before me or the person before them has already kind of manufactured all that kind of equity into the property via a small renovation, which actually looks really, really good. Now I just want to run the numbers on the actual property itself and then compare that against the suburbs kind of benchmarks. If you're on realestate.com.au, you can get that information relatively easy. However, only if they provide that information. So if you just go to the listing page, which is here, and then if you click property history, they'll show you what is the history of this actual property. So, but the issue here is that they've only got one sale of the property, which was in October 2022. So for me, I'm wanting to know what other sales of the property occurred over the last 5, 10, 15, 20, or even 30 years to give me a better snapshot of what this property's performance has been over that period of time. So the first thing that I noticed, that this property was sold on the 8th of October, 1987, which is 35 years. I'm then just going to go over to a really basic compounding growth calculator to see what this property has done for the last 35 years. So just add in your numbers. So it's 35 years, initial value was $80,000. Man, I wish I got that property in $80,000. And the final value, which was the last recent sale, which was $815,000. Now that gives me a compound annual growth rate of 6.8%. So that's actually pretty solid growth every single year for the last 35 years. But at least now we can benchmark this property's growth at 6.8%. Now I want to know what's actually been happening in that suburb. So head over to my long-term market trends, and this is for units over 20 years in Randwick. Now this means all units. It means 1, 2, and 3 beds. And now I'm looking at two main pieces of data. One, in 2003, what was the median price for units in Randwick? And it was $445,000. So I'm just going to add that to the calculator. And then the next data point I'm looking at is what's the median price for units in Randwick as of today. So it's $1,115,000. So then just add that one into the calculator. So $1,115,000. And as you can see, the suburbs growth over the last 20 years has been growing at an annual rate of 4.6%. And I know it's not really comparing apples with apples because this is over a 20-year period and the analysis that I did was over a 35-year period. So there's going to be some discrepancies, but it is some kind of price point that you can kind of look at. So you could then do some forecasting from there. And this is just a capital growth calculator, just adding in the value $815,000. We know the suburbs gone up 4.6% every single year, I guess, over the last kind of 20 years. Let's say you hold the property for the next 10 years. The value of the property in 10 years' time, buying it at $815,000 as of October last year, would then be worth $1.277 million, and you'd have around about $462,000 worth of equity in this. Then you could benchmark it in terms of what this actual property has done over the last 35 years, and what we found out was that the annual growth over that period of time was actually 6.8%. So just run the numbers in the calculator. You're buying at $815, it's 6.8% annual growth. You would have a property worth $1,573,000, and you'd have an additional equity of $758,000. So I hope that helps in terms of how I would go about breaking down a one-bedroom apartment in the smallest kind of time frame possible. Obviously, after this, there is way more due diligence that needs to be done on the actual itself. I do look forward to supporting you on your journey. Make sure you hit subscribe and drop a comment below.